Welcome to Plum Tree Yarn Shop's designer interview series. This is number 2. I'm Bobby Priest-Gaines. I'm joined by my friend Debbie Renner. We are from Plum Tree Yarn Shop in Milan, Michigan, and we are so happy to have Jessie Molzan with us today. Jessie is from Knit One, Crochet Too, and has beautiful, beautiful patterns available on Ravelry. And I lost a lot of time just scrolling through and looking over the last several days trying to get more familiar with you. It was awesome. So we're very happy that you agreed to join us today, and we'd love to talk to you about how you came along your journey to designing, from just being a regular knitter to designing. So.
Yeah, well, first of all, my grandma and my her parents and everything, huge knitters, like massive knitters. That's all they did. Lots of they're really handy with that kind of needlecraft and stuff. So my grandma, when I was young, tried to teach me to knit, I think every year. And I was like, no, it's not happening. I don't want to do it. I want to watch TV. I want to go outside. I want to do something else. And then as I got older, I went to school. And then after college, I decided I don't know what my life is going to be. I don't know. So it was like, I moved to Australia to live for a year, and I worked there for a wholesale company, which was like retail. It was like a vintage shop. So it was really fun. And then my visa ran out, and I was like, I got to go back. I don't feel like staying. It was fun. I had a good time. I came home, and my neighbor was actually the owner of a yarn company called the Sassy Skein, which was around for about 15, 20 years. They closed about 5 years ago now. And so I'd known her for a long time, and she was like, hey, I need an assistant. I was like, okay, I'd love to just help out while I'm looking for what I want to do. So nice of her. She said, well, if you want to learn to knit, you're more than welcome to have yarn as like part of your payment. And I was like, okay, cool. So then my grandma taught me. Finally, she was able to teach me how to knit. So that was probably the best thing that I could ever gift her, was to letting her teach me how to finally do it. And I kind of just did it. And I was like, yeah, I got this. I did like a couple, washcloths, and then I did a scarf. I got halfway through the scarf, and I was like, this is boring. I got to do something else. And I think about a month into it, I did a baby blanket. And then after that baby blanket, I started designing. I don't know. It was just one of those things that kind of just, I didn't really at that point know how to read patterns, but I knew what I wanted to make. And so then from having the Mary, that was her name, the previous owner, she would help me put the wording right into the pattern, like frame. I don't know what's the word I'm looking for, like the layout. Put in the pattern layout. And so kind of just right away I started designing, just because I just didn't like following patterns. I will tell you, I don't like people telling me what to do. So I think that's the reason that I didn't want to read patterns. I was like, no, you can't tell me what to do. So that's kind of how it all started. And then I worked for her for about 7 years, I think. And then she retired. And then after that, I still was doing some designing, but not anything like on Ravelry, things like that, just more for myself. And then I worked at a yarn shop for a while. I managed that. And then about 6 months into that, Knit One, Crochet Too was going for sale. And so I was speaking with the owner, because we had some of their yarns in our shop. And I was like, I like that aspect of the industry a lot more, just because I have a little bit more creative control and less restrictions on time and where I'm supposed to be. And if I want to be home and just design all day and knit and get designs done, I can. I couldn't do that if I was at a shop managing, and because I couldn't not be there, one of those things. So that's kind of how I got here. Yeah.
What inspires you for your designs?
So really, I'm not like a good, like the traditional, like I sketch it, I make all of my measurements and my marks, and I'm like, oh, this is what I want. A lot of times I will see like a shirt at a shop and be like, oh, I like that. I can do that. And I'll start doing it. And then halfway through it, be like, no, I don't want to do that. And I don't know. I just do it. You know, it's one of those weird things. I'm just like, yeah, actually, I don't want that to be that. I want to add ruching here. I want to do cute lace on the sleeve instead of this or that. So sometimes it's a lot with the stitch books, like the stitch pattern books. I like to go through those a lot because just having the stitch inspiration helps me decide what the rest of the garment's going to be. Like what I'm wearing right now, I don't know if you can really see. It's just a really simple like top, but I saw this really cute lace stitch and I was like, oh, it's so easy, but how else would I incorporate it? So the whole back is just the lace and then the front's just simple. So you don't have to worry about decreasing and increasing with the lace. It's just a big square. So I like to do simple things that aren't going to get people into trouble. You know, I do try to do really kind of simple designs, but have a little edge to it, you know.
I really like your Santa Maria pullover that has the raglan cable.
Yeah,
and
this one, I have it. This one.
Yeah.
I know, I love
really
the little, it's a little baby cable with and yarn overs because I sometimes hate doing the, so stupid, I hate doing the increases on the sleeve sometimes. So I was like, screw it, I'm just gonna do a yarn over. And then it also goes down the side too. So it just goes all the way down and all the way down to that one. I know, I love this sweater. I wear this one a lot when I crank up the
AC
to like 65 and I feel like I'm up north. And it feels really nice because down here it's like 95 today or something, so it's really nasty.
Right. It's one thing I noticed so much about, or that I see in your patterns, is that they're so wearable. The garments are so wearable, and there's interesting things in them, like the cable that goes down the side. But they're wearable, they're accessible, and they're not. Some of the things you see are like designers that just tried to do some really crazy things because they could, which is fun.
Yeah.
But I like yours that they're so wearable, and I'm wondering if you could talk about that a little bit.
Yeah, so I have done a couple design, like not me personally design them, but I've knit some things that I'm like, oh, I just want to know how to do this. You know, it just seems like a fun project to make. But then I don't do anything with it. It's still like in the cabinet, you know, or I end up giving it away to someone because I'm like, I'm not going to wear that. And if I personally, I try to also design what I would wear. So if I want to wear like I like to wear simple things, but with a little edge. And so that's kind of where I go. And as I've progressed with this company and stuff, when I do a lot of trunk shows I go to shops and stuff. And what I've seen is people tend to gravitate to the garments that are the pieces that they know they can wear and wear a lot and not feel like they're going to damage it and it's going to be a waste of their time. You know, I like to do things where I know how my yarns wear and tear now because I personally I'll design something, I'll knit it, and I'll wear it for like almost 2 weeks straight. So I know exactly how it's going to grow or pill or do anything like that. So I can tell them, hey, this is going to be perfect for your type of what you're going to be doing and wearing and everything. So I definitely try to do things that I would wear and that I know I would want to wear almost all the time. You know, I have my winter wardrobe and then I have my spring summer stuff. Like this sweater that I'm wearing, I wore this all fall because it's light and airy. It kind of looks good with any type of pant, you know, that kind of look. And then this one behind me is just a really simple cropped raglan, but the sleeves don't increase, you just increase here. So I've been wearing that one a lot recently just because it's really cool. It's cotton, so I just chuck that on. I don't have to really worry about anything. And I know if it gets dirty, it's cotton, I can wash it. I don't have to worry anything because that's what I don't like is knitting something, being so scared to wear it or getting like a stain on it or not being able to show it off. I want to show off my knits all the time if I can, so I can tell, yes, I knit that. I designed it. That's all me, baby.
What's your favorite pattern?
It was one of the first ones I did after I left the Sassy Skein, and it's called the Ocean Blues Pullover, and I don't have it with me, but it's literally a boat neck, and it is striped. It's like a nautical like a nautical pullover, but the back has a, what is that called? Oh, my brain. Has a dip. We did some German short rows in the back, so it kind of does that tail, like, you know, like you know what I'm trying to say. I can't think of the word right now. But I love that one. I've done that one a couple times, and I'm actually going to make a winter version out of it in our winter blossom for like the fall, because I was like, I want one that I can wear that's a little bit more woolly than that one, because it's in a silk cotton blend. But I love that one because it's just easy. I don't have to think about it. And I know that it's easy for other people too, because everyone has different torsos, which is what I've also realized. And I try to make designs where they can adjust their torso, you know, really easy. So with that design, it's knit from the bottom up in the round. So they just put it, you know, where their bra strap kind of is, and then they can know that's where I want the end of it to be. And that helps a lot with the design. So they don't have to follow my directions to the T, because not everyone's body's like mine, you know. So I try to do things like that, so it's easy to manipulate for your body type too. Yeah, so it's fun. I like that one a lot.
That's great. I appreciate, as a knitter, I appreciate things that are easy to switch up for myself.
Yeah.
And I'm wondering, when you first started designing, did you think about it that way, or was that just something that you came to as a knitter first, and then as you're designing, you
definitely
build some of that flexibility in?
Yeah, because when I first started designing the previous company, it was a children's company. So we basically only did children's garments. So most of the designs I did were babies and kids and stuff. And so you kind of just do it, because unfortunately with kid stuff, there's not a lot of size adjustment with it. It's like, it's a box. Just put it on the kid. They'll destroy it in like a year, you know, one of those things. And so when I started doing stuff for myself, because I'm like, well, I need to start doing more adult things, I'd read some patterns and be like, but I don't like this. I don't want that there. And then I realized it was so difficult, because I was still learning. It was so difficult to manipulate and be like, well, I don't want to add that. I just want to make it solid or do this. So I've been trying to definitely make it a lot easier. So trying to think what garment. Oh, so like I did this one. This is a free pattern, and this one's called the Opa top. And so it's just a really cute thing, but in the back, it's all like yarn overs through the back, and then your sleeves are made with yarn overs. So this one's super easy to manipulate as well, or change the pattern, because you have your little breakup, you know, and then you don't have to knit it as long as you want. But if you wanted to make it wider, you know, some people have a little stomach, they want to make it a little bit wider. So what they would do is just knit this piece a little bit longer, so it gives them more of a flare, and then not knit in the round for as high. You know what I mean? Yeah. And then a lot of ladies wanted a longer sleeve. So then what they were doing is I just told them to do a yarn over and do a make one. So then that sleeve grew more, and it turned out really cute. It came like almost like a little ruffle and stuff. So things like that I try, so that I know it's easy for you to figure it out too. Like, what am I gonna do to make it bigger and better? And a lot of customers email me as well, like call me and be like, hey, I like this design, but my stomach's a little bigger, or I have a really short torso, or my arms are bigger, but my body's like skinnier, you know, one of those things. So I try to figure out a way to make it easy for them to modify it, so they enjoy the project, you know, and they want to wear the garment and show it off as much as possible. So.
And it's really great as a designer that you have that support behind your pattern. Yeah. There's some patterns that I've emailed the designer and I don't ever hear from them. Or I'll see
Okay.
comments on Ravelry and you never hear a response from that. So
Yeah,
I
I really
admire
try.
that you have that support behind your pattern and that you're flexible about helping somebody make it fit them.
Yeah, I try as hard as I can. Sometimes it's very difficult because sometimes communication's off, you know, especially over the phone. But if I can, I'm always willing to help because I would want that. You know what I mean? And I'm not huge like some of the other designers that are massive and have hundreds of thousands of patterns being sold. So I still can have the flexibility to kind of do whatever I want and help as much as I possibly can, you know, that kind of stuff, which I enjoy so far.
It sounds like you have an ideal setup for the way that you like to work, and
I
that's, you can't beat that.
No, I really do. I've been really, really lucky where I have enough flexible time. I have a part-time assistant now, so she helps if I'm sick or I can't come to the office or anything. And she knows how to knit, so it's good. So I can do all the computer work. She can fill the orders, do the kind of stuff that I don't feel like doing some days. And I can keeping everything, the website running, the answering all the emails, doing the editing for the patterns and the pictures and all that kind of stuff too. So it's fun. And then it also, my family, we like to travel a lot together. So every season with our photo, like our lookbooks for spring and summer, we'll go away. And that's really nice for me too. So I do all my own photography and all my own editing, which I kind of enjoy, but I have more of a say. So we'll go on some fun exotic location, vacation, and take all the photos and then just be done with it. So I get to have a little free me time for like a week, and I get my work done. So I really enjoy that part, I think, the most too.
What's been the most rewarding part about being a designer?
Just seeing how people like the designs. You know, sometimes you don't always get the same reaction. So it's really funny. Like a lot of times when people see it online, they're like, oh, you really like it. That's so cute. Really like it. We're going to make it. But the best part, I think, is going to the trunk shows when all the ladies and all the men come and look at the designs and go, oh my God, that's awesome. That's my favorite. I really like that part of it. And also, like, if I'm walking down the street and someone's like, oh, that sweater's really pretty. Where'd you buy it? I'm like, I made it. I think that's my favorite. I enjoy that a lot.
That's great.
Do you have many projects in the works at the same time as far as design projects? And if you do, how do you keep track of what's happening?
I am not normal, as I've learned from my other knitting friends who have like 7 projects that they are still working on. You know, they call me I'm a solo knitter. 1 project at one time, maybe two. Like, and if it's 2, I'm doing a garment and the other one's a hat that I don't have to physically like think about or anything. But for the most part, I get it all done at once, because if I mix and match, my notes aren't right for designing and stuff. So I really like to do 1 garment at one time. Then I don't get a little confused or forgetful, because if I go to something else, it's going to take me an extra 2 weeks to finish a design, when usually 3 weeks is how much it'll take me to do a sweater if I have a pretty clear vision in my mind. And then that way I know I can go directly to writing the pattern, so it's all fresh. I know exactly what I did, and then I can send it to the tech editor and make sure it's all hunky-dory, and then I can give it to one of my testers to do. But when I mix in like 2 garments at one time, or a shawl and a pattern, it's like a month and a half to finish it. And then sometimes I'll go back to write my design and I'm like, oh, what did I do again? How did I when did who? So sometimes I have to go back and re-knit it myself to even write the design, you know, and that usually I try not to do that, because then it takes too much time. And then I have 2 garments that are like the same size. And I'm like, no, I want 2 different sized ones, you know? So that's really, I try to stick away from it, but I will break off. So a lot of times I'll design a sweater or a garment, and then I'll knit someone else's design. just to kind of break up my brain too, because I find knitting someone else's design is really, I don't have to think. I just do it. I just follow the directions. It's done. When I'm doing my design, I'm always counting and, you know, telling my husband to shut up. Like, don't talk to me, I'm counting, you know, that kind of stuff. But if I have someone else's pattern, I can just blah, blah, blah. I can finish it, and then I'm ready to design another one, which is, I think, really good to break up that time.
And I'm counting, and my husband starts to talk to me, I just count louder.
Yeah,
like,
I do too.
I just go 5, 6, and he keeps on, because he thinks it's funny. Keeps on counting. I go, I'm done. Go for a walk. Get out of here. I need to count. I have like 300 stitches. I don't have time for this.
Right.
It's not. I know, they're naughty. They do it just to piss us off.
When you were talking about other things that you knit, that was one thing I wondered, do you knit just for pleasure, or is it all focused on designing?
So it's both. Like, for me, designing's still a pleasure. So I love to knit, like, full stop. So knitting one of, like, designing something or knitting someone else's pattern, it doesn't matter. I'm hooked. They all make me like almost equally as happy. Like, the only people that I knit for besides myself are my nieces, because they love it. And then the rest of the family gets a hat for Christmas. So in between everything, I love to knit my nieces' garments. And so I'll do a lot of funky, because they live overseas, so they have a really cold winter. So I get to knit them lots of fun sweaters, and I really enjoy doing that. That's really my fun. I just finished the Love Notes by Tin Cans for my niece. And so all of them are going to get a matching one for Christmas. It's freaking adorable. So I'm really excited about that. I'm going to start the next one soon. But I definitely knit for pleasure no matter what I'm knitting. Some designs do my head in, but that's just a personal, there's no reason why, you know. But then other ones I'm like, I could do like 10 of those. Like, speaking of Stephen West, I did his Melted Mirage shawl. That, and I don't like shawls. I hate them. I don't wear them. They drive me crazy. I loved doing his. I was just like, this is fun, because it was quick and it was huge, and it actually keeps me warm, and it doesn't look too, I don't know, shawly, you know, one of those things. So I did enjoy doing that. And then when I knit someone else's designs, I always put it on our website, and I try to market it in our yarns so that they see that you don't have to do my designs. My design is not for everyone, but if you want to do like a Tin Can or a Stephen West or, you know, Hokey or any of those type of things, our yarns work just as great with all those designs, because sometimes knitters can't think outside the box. You know, you have to show them, hey, this looks awesome in this yarn looks awesome in this design too. And that really helps, because I think knitters are really visual people. They like to see it and need to see before they can imagine it, you know, sometimes.
So how would you go about encouraging someone to think outside that box and come up with, you know, maybe they're looking at your pattern and, you know, to be a little bit more bold or less outside their box for what they're going to choose for the yarn?
Yeah. So a lot of times what I tell people is just swatch it and see what happens. You know, once you start swatching, like at this point now, I know my yarn so well and I can guess it, you know, so I don't really have to swatch that much anymore if I see another person's design I want to do. But if you're like getting into it, just swatch it. You know, if you're like, oh, this calls for an Aran weight, but I have a DK and a fingering and 2 fingerings and a lace, you know, wonder what it would look like if I put all 3 of those together. I wonder if I could get the right gauge. Like, just do it and just see what happens. And if you block it and it looks cool, just try it. You know, you can rip it out. That's the best part of knitting too, is it's not permanent. You can get halfway through and be like, nah, that's not me. rip it out and start something else, you know? So it's a lot easier too if they have someone at like a yarn shop who can get them going for the first time. Because once you get them to go past their like line, then it's so much easier for them to do it themselves. You know, when I used to work at the yarn shop, that I was constantly doing that. They're like, oh, I want to knit this. I'm like, okay, what do you want to knit out? They're like, well, it calls for wool. I go, no, what do you want? What are you going to physically wear it in? What's the color that matches most of your garment, your pants, and you wear? Because you want to physically wear this all the time, you know? So I think once you have someone that's like that to break you out of your shell, it's so much easier. You can be like, yeah, I can do anything I want, you know? I can take 4 fingering weight strands and make something and have it really cool colors and stuff. I try. When I'm with people, it's really easy because you can just be like, look, this is going to be so beautiful together. I think it's going to work really cool. Swatch it, you know, see how it goes. And most people email me back and be like, oh, it looks so great. Thanks for the help and the push, you know. And then you can tell that later on down the road, you see on their Ravelry thing that they've done some other things that are cool too. They need confidence as well. I don't think, from what I've seen, a lot of knitters don't have confidence in themselves or their knitting, and it's completely unnecessary. They should, I mean, anything they make is going to be great. They made it, you know, it has a couple holes. Who cares? Tie it up. You know, you did it. That's a great accomplishment.
Well, thank you, Jessie, and for everyone else, thank you for watching, and thank you for supporting your local yarn shop, whoever and wherever that may be. Again, this is Debbie Runnert and my friend Bobby Priest Gaines from Plum Tree Yarn Shop in Milan, Michigan. We hope to see you again soon. Thank you.
Bye. Thanks.